Welcome to Cash Cuties, a super personal finance podcast where you look at our friends' credit card statements and judge their spending habits with love. I'm your host, Fumi Steffie.
And I'm Steffi Bake. And if you're listening on your Apple Pod app, please leave us a review, hit follow on Spotify, and sub to our YouTube channel for the video version of this podcast. And all the links are available in the description below.
Yes, and you helped us get to 1,000 subscribers, so now we're monetizing YouTube. Thank you so much. But we want those numbers to be through the roof, so definitely check us out. Also, I just found out you can leave reviews on Spotify. So
what?
I know we have a lot of Spotify listeners. If you are a Spotify listener right now, please hit pause and leave a 5-star review, dog. Come on. And I also think you can like interact with us. I think there's like a Q&A thing at the end. Anyways, leave a review, talk to us. We love you guys. Before we get into the podcast, we like to give a shout out to our Dono Daddies. These are people who give us money on Patreon. What is Patreon? It is the best way to support this podcast, where you can give us money in exchange for bonus content and feet pics and cool stuff like that. So if you want to get in on it, go to patreon.com/cashcuties.
And it helps us actually because it helps with hosting services, audio equipment, and we want to get paid for our content.
Absolutely. We love doing free content, but this is a lot of work and time, and it's nice to have a little bit of money. You know what I mean? It's nice to know that we're not...
No, a lot of money.
Yeah, we want a lot of money.
We want a lot of money.
Right now, if we divide the amount that we've gotten by the hours we spend, I think we're both making like 30 cents an hour, which is okay. It's better than zero, but we like to up those numbers. So these are people who gave us money this week. Ashley W, $5. Thank you so much.
Kate G, $5. Thank you.
Fan Yi, $10. Thank you so much.
Judy L, again, thank you so much for your $10.
And last but not least, Melissa, $5. Thank you so much. Check us out at patreon.com/cashcutiespod if you want to get in on this. Moving on. How are you doing financially, Steffi?
Okay, so when I am this place where I feel like I'm not making money, my jobs have gotten canceled, I like to like start returning things. But like I start returning random shit that I like pickles from Trader Joe's that I didn't like.
But like you have to return that. Like these are things you bought very recently.
Very well, sure.
You
Not
can
really.
return food to Trader Joe's like a week later.
You don't even need a receipt. They'll just like
what?
let you. Yeah, because it's Trader Joe's.
So they
like
know
labeled.
it's from there.
It's from there.
I didn't even think about that, dog. That's genius.
Yeah.
Wait a second. So like, did they give you cash or credit?
They give us credit. I don't know about the cash part. I just always do credit.
Store credit.
So I have these pickles, the spicy dill kosher pickles. The regular ones are so good, but these are spicy. But the funny thing is someone else bought them for me. So now I'm going to go cash in on those.
Oh my God.
Is that weird?
I bet there's some sort of scam out there with Trader Joe's stuff. Like you could... Because you don't need the receipt to return it.
Like dumpster diving for...
Yes, because you could return it as long as it's not expired. I know that like the return game is a huge thing for people who are a little bit frugal, if you want to say. I know that growing up in New York, there's a culture of like, I hope this doesn't sound racist, but there's a culture of, I heard this from my Jewish college roommate, okay? There's a group of like Hasidic Jewish people, I think they summer in the Catskills or something. Yeah. And apparently they do this thing where like at the beginning of summer, they buy a big ass TV from Costco. And then at the end of the summer, when they all come down back to Manhattan, because their kids have school, they return the TV because at Costco, I believe you either don't need the receipt or it's like a year-long thing where you can return it.
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
I've done something similar to this. I went to Hawaii, Maui, for a wedding, and we needed scuba things, right? Like scuba, but like I don't scuba. I don't even really know what that is, right? But I know I need things like masks and shit. So we went to Costco, bought the poke thing, delicious over there, by the way. Yeah. And then bought all the gear, used it once, and then returned it by the end of the trip. Costco's great for that.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You've done this?
You got me on this one. Yeah. They have the best return. Because I always do that. I always bring them back.
Do you have experience with that?
The receipts are on file. So even if you lose it, we'll just type it in. It's like Nordstrom's. So the king of returns.
Yo, but you can use it and return it because TVs, I understand. You're not putting it in the ocean. But with that, you used it. It's sand on it.
There's sand.
And you can return it.
Yeah, it's been wet and everything. People do this with air conditioners at Costco. They disappear because it's so hot in LA these days, you know? buy it, return it.
Oh my God.
But I've been doing it. I mean, it's like it's sad because these are pickles and I didn't even buy them. They're someone else's pickles.
I know, but
and then
every dollar counts.
And then Jason brought these
those dates.
medjool
Yeah,
dates.
our guest last week brought us a peace offering of dates.
Thank you. I hope he doesn't
Jason.
watch this, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I could.
Are they from Trader Joe's?
Yeah, but I'm gonna see if I could like get something else with it, like like the sauerkraut.
This is so funny. I can see you going into people's homes, stealing like one small Trader Joe's items just so you can make a $5.
That's
where
like
you're
10.
at. It's crazy. 1 month you're modeling for Gucci, and another month you're stealing my fucking milk and selling it for $2. This is insane.
Don't shame me.
I'm not gonna shame you. No, but that's crazy.
But
I love
I'm
that.
sure there's other people that do this.
No,
Like, can you guys like
absolutely.
let us know? Like,
Yes.
let us know in the YouTube
Comments
like,
if you have.
Are you returning
What's your return
shit?
game like? Yeah, exactly.
But anyways,
I love that.
How about you? How are you doing financially?
This happened a couple weeks ago, and it was bothering me, and I want to talk about it now. And I know our guest today is kind of into cars, and so maybe you have an opinion on this. But I was driving, and this is when I just bought my new car, the Prius, my baby, and I see like the tire pressure sign come up, and I'm like, I just fucking bought this car. Like, they just literally looked at everything. What's happening? So I go to the thing, and usually tire shops fill up your tires for free. But this guy was like, okay, he was like, oh yeah, like some of these are kind of low, and he's like, yeah, it's $20 a wheel to fill it up. And this is the place where I've gone before to buy tires. Like, I've been going to this place for a minute, and so I was in the beginning, I was like, haha, funny. And he's like, no, I'm serious. Like, it's $20 a wheel. And I was like, are you sure? Like, it was free last time I did this. And he's like, now we changed the policy. And I just kept sitting there and be like, that's not real. Like, there's no way.
Oh, it's real. Everything is going up in price. Everything. And you better watch your catalytic converter too, because they're stealing those in the Priuses now too.
Yeah, but so like what so what happened is like I'm standing there in silence, just thinking, and I'm like, no, what you're offering to me is not worth. And so then I said this. I go. Well, I think I only needed one of my tires. And he's like, do you know which one? And I go, no, I think you have to check all four. And he goes, well, that's $80 because I got to check all four. And so then I go, but I go, that's a flawed business model. I say that to him. And then he goes, I'm just fucking with you. But I feel like if I didn't, because I was standing there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like if I didn't challenge him, he would have just taken that money cash.
100%. Yep.
Right?
You know why? I think it's because he thinks of you of a certain way because you have a Prius. I would take advantage of someone with a Prius for sure. It doesn't, like, you know what I mean?
But you also think, well, they're probably kind of smart. Maybe I can't. So he also had a backup plan of saying, no, I'm sorry. I can't. I was just tricking it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. He was testing you.
Yeah.
This is interesting because when I used to go with my Honda Fit, he said he didn't say shit. But when I went with the Prius,
honestly, I don't even blame him.
This is my takeaway from this is like I feel like I've gotten scammed when I was younger on various things, and I feel like now I don't really get scammed as much, knock on wood, but it's not because I'm smarter, it's because I've gotten more stingier, and I won't, like, when you present me with a ridiculous business proposition, I won't take it because I'm like I'm like, what math are you doing where this is worth $20 fucking per wheel? And so I feel like sometimes my stinginess saves me from getting scammed because I'm like, there's no fucking way.
You're calling him on it, which is amazing.
Exactly. Does it ever happen to you with like car shit?
All the time.
People try to scam
And
you?
I stand up for myself. And that's the thing. I'm like, listen, you are one click away from me leaving a bad review. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. But guess what? You know, I did that about 2 weeks ago.
With the Yelp review. I gotta
You do. You
that.
kind of have, without being a jerk about it, but you want to, like,
Right.
listen,
Yeah.
coming here, I did some research and I looked at the reviews and they're all pretty bad. Would you like me to add some more? You know what I mean?
Damn, I should do that. I just asked him. I was like, "Can you do the math?" Like, I was legit like, "What is the labor like you're putting into?" You know what I mean? I was like, $20 a fucking.
That doesn't make.
Anyways,
any sense,
yeah, it was just kind of weird that.
That's hilarious. He went for like a whole like 15 minutes to that bit. That guy, right?
It
like
did,
it seems
but
like
this
he was.
Prius thing
That's
is
why
so
he was
interesting.
Yeah, no, I would test it too. I would see what I can get from a Prius owner for sure. There's some cars I just want.
Well, but what position are you in that you could try to get something?
I don't know. It just seems like. I guess a Prius owner to me is like buy the books.
Buy the books.
So like if
NPR.
I throws, so I'm like,
You're just saving money.
Yeah,
You know?
like right. So I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, okay.
You're not out buying a Challenger.
No,
Or, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly,
Funny.
exactly.
We love that. Okay.
Well, well, thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
So today's amazing guest we have here is a actor, a comedian, stand-up, creative, an investor, homeowner.
I think he's the first homeowner we've had.
Yeah, David Payne.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show,
Let's
man.
talk money.
Yes.
Let's fucking do it.
So just really quickly, the way I met you is actually on a commercial.
Utah, right?
In Utah, we were sent to Utah, which is so random, to do a CMA commercial.
Okay, what's
which is
CMA?
Which is like CPA, but it's the M stands
Yeah,
for
I don't know.
what
There's so many abbreviations of all these crap. I
Yeah.
don't even keep up anymore.
So funny.
but-
The actors of commercials don't know what the fuck they're advertising.
No idea. Is there a conflict? What does it pay? How are we going to run it for?
It could be for like chips, and your guys like, yeah, I don't really know what this is.
Totally. Yeah.
But you were amazing on it because I could tell you were a professional because like you like improvised so many scenes so quickly, and the director and the producers all loved you. So I was
Thank
like,
you.
oh, I'm working with a pro here.
Was that a national campaign?
Was it national?
I don't think it was national. It had a limited run, but it was decent, you know, and we
Yeah.
have to go to Utah, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Traveling outside is sometimes kind of fun.
Oh, it's so great, and they give you like they gave us like was it $200 something like that, $200
per diem.
per diem.
That's my
Every
favorite
day?
part because
Yeah.
I'm cheap and I put that in the bank or I put it in
I
stocks.
was gonna say 200 for food every
Wait.
day.
I was gonna say I'm eating your food and I'm gonna take the money. I'm gonna invest it in my own. I'm not gonna go out and like some of these actors they'll go out and they'll go, let's go to a big lavish dinner. I'm like, you're a fool.
Yeah.
Wow,
You know what I
so
mean?
you were good about that.
Wait, can I ask both of you commercial actors? Like, so this is I don't know how big this campaign was, but like, how was the money? It was good. It was a decent amount because they fucking flew you out.
I mean,
It was decent.
there's nothing really good anymore unless you're booking a big, huge campaign. Your Flow, The Most Interesting Man in the World, Mayhem, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, I don't want to say scragglers, but you do enough of these over the year, you can make a good living, and you can get lucky if some of them turn into campaigns, or they renew them, or they get picked up for multiple. You know, you can make.
Have you done these like the SAG commercial? Because it's like I think I heard somewhere statistically that 90% of commercials are non-union.
I'd say between 80 and 90.
that
90.
makes sense.
So do you do these like SAG commercials where they pay like $100,000? Have you done those
I've
before?
done, VW, Coors Light, Samsung, where you, and I call it mailbox money, where you just go to your mailbox, you're like, oh, and you gauge it by how thick the envelopes get. Okay, there's, you know, and I'd start from the right, I'd be like, 0, 0, 0.
Oh my god!
You know what I mean?
What was that? He was coming. He was coming just now.
I get excited. I get excited.
His neighbors are calling the cops. It's like, there's a man coming in my
my
driveway looking at a
You just read the check, it's fine.
That's funny. They take the check for evidence. It's only $1,000. He's like, yeah, but that's a lot. That's a lot to a
That's all
comedian.
few
you know?
zeros. And then returning pickles, so good.
Like, are there like I don't know what the word is, but do you guys get like residuals if they replay those commercials and
Yes,
stuff
if
like
it's
that?
a union job, you get the residual. So every time it airs, like let's just say you see Flo, there she is again. She's getting paid every time it airs.
That plus for the day of work. So
Yeah.
she's making
You get the day rate and the residuals.
How
Then they
much do you think
decide-
she's making?
Oh, she's over $1 million easily.
a year.
Easy, a year?
Easily.
'Cause
Well, not a
Flo's-
year, but I think overall, because I think 5 years ago I read that she just did her like 100th spot. So it's got to be like, who knows now? It's nuts. And they're kind of, I've noticed they're slowly starting to kind of focus in on other guys, like the guy with the mustache now. They've got the other characters. So she's not in every one of them now, but she still pops up a lot.
Yeah.
Flo's
We're-
been a thing since I was probably in high school. Like she's been out for a minute.
She's
you
doing
know,
good.
Jake from State Farm, on the other hand, I feel like he's newer. Like he wasn't a thing when I was.
Yeah,
in
he's a
college.
little newer.
Yeah.
But I remember the agency he's with, they threw like this huge party at Daniel Hoff's, at his place because he knew that was going to be just like cha-ching.
Jake from State Farm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're having a party for you tonight because this is going to be huge.
Really?
Yeah. You see something like that come through, you're like, oh. I mean, they call it the golden handcuff because it's so amazing. Your life's going to change, right?
Yeah.
But you're also known as that guy. So good luck
Yes.
trying to get work otherwise. You're not going to do
Right,
other
right.
commercials. It's going to be harder for you to get on like a network role or some big movies because you're lucky, like let's say Mayhem. He's been able to cross over, but he was a kind of a big actor before that.
Yes, he was a big actor before.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Flo's kind of smart because she is a Groundlings girl. She looks, you wouldn't even probably recognize her if you saw her in a movie. You're like, she looks familiar.
Has she been in movies and stuff?
Oh, a ton.
Really?
Yeah. She's one of the lucky ones, but there are the ones that like, let's just say the guy that with the glasses. Can you hear me now? You know, that,
Yeah,
you're never going to
yeah.
see him in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah.
got that Verizon guy.
Yeah.
So it's how you can change yourself up after.
Yeah, but I
the
think
fact.
he said, listen, if I'm doing this, I want to have glasses on because I want to look a little different if I decide to go for
He
other
said
things.
that?
And not, oh, yeah.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Isn't that genius? You have to
Yeah.
kind of, and that's why I had this like creepy caterpillar crawling on my face. If I decide to do something else, I can shave it and look different.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
this is commitment. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's that
It's to protect your
goofy-
career.
It's dude. It's because it's goofy, comedic, spastic, weird, dorky, creepy guy in a van with candy.
Yeah,
all sorts. But it's never the straight-laced normal dude. You're not going to trust this guy.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And I like that, and that's a career choice I did because I was so precise about things. When I had a beard, I'd write down my callback ratio, my booking ratio. With clean shaven, I'd write it down. It was like 30%. Beard was probably 45%. This was like 70% callback booking ratio.
Oh my God, you're doing data shit on callbacks and self-tape?
Everything.
That's
I wanted to know what I need to do. What do I need to do to get to this level?
You've done over 100 commercials now. Like, do people recognize you for commercials? Like,
yeah. It's there's been probably like at this point about over 200, which sounds like a lot, but really I've been doing it for 24 years. So over the time, it's not as much as you would think. Like, oh, whoa, but in the first 5 years were nothing. I was going in with no callbacks. Just what was I doing wrong? I was nervous in the rooms. I wasn't able to listen. So if I'm not listening, the ADHD would kick in, and I was just like, I got it. Yeah, sure, no problem. And I'm like, oh, what did I do? Oh, I forgot. Yeah. So I'd walk home. I walked my car thinking, oh, he told me to do. I didn't do. I'm not gonna get this one. So there's so many years of that. And just drilling in my head like, okay, I've got to really do something different here and focus, buckle down, make this happen. And speaking of finances, I had plenty of years where I was living hand to mouth, month to month, check to check, living off credit cards, maxing them out, and then I get a commercial and I pay it off, and then I go right back to, it's just this hustle.
So you were in debt while you're doing this?
All that for years.
It seems like you're very like meticulous with your spending and the way you approach your career. And I want to get to I want to understand like where that comes from. So tell us like what has been your relationship with money growing up?
You know what? I think it's what they call the poverty mindset, where you're just so used to being frugal. Like I said, I get it all from my mom. She was we still to this day when we hang out every Sunday, we'll go, hey, want to go to Goodwill? Totally. Let's see what we can find. It's still about the bargains and see what we can find. I'm all about, if you look at the statements, as ridiculous as they are, it's TJ Maxx, Ross, Marshalls, Aldi, 99-cent store. Yeah. Because it's all about, and it's weird. I still have that thing like, well, what if I don't? Okay, I got to save. I got to do this. So I'm not out just frivolously shopping for things I don't need. And my girl hates it. She calls me, in Spanish, like, you're so codo. You're so codo, which means tight.
Like, tight?
Yeah. What are you doing? I'm like, well, you want to go Dutch tonight? You want to go? So she's like, you're so cheap. I'm like, well, yeah, I have to be because I've always been that way. And
where did you grow up? Like what?
NorCal.
Oh, in NorCal.
Oh, you're from California.
And what? Were you middle class? Were you?
Yeah, middle. Parents always. They did they did great, but they always had this thing where, listen, we're not going to get you what you want. We'll get you what you need, but we're not going to get you what you want. But I want the Nikes. That's fine. But Reeboks are cheaper. You know what I mean? So it was like that kind of like, okay. So we weren't getting like tracks or Keds that came, we weren't doing that, but it was, listen, you're going to do this. You're going to shop for this. And I'm like, oh, and I used to hate it. But now growing up, I'm like, this is great because I had, because you have those months where, like I said, you go to the mailbox money and you get out the check. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, but I don't know when that's going to happen next. So I'm always living like this might be the last one.
Wow. Yeah. Even if, okay.
What did your parents do for a living? I mean, it sounded like, because initially when you started talking about this, I was like, oh, maybe you did grow up in poverty, but it sounds like they were doing okay.
Yeah, no, it's right. My dad was in
thing.
Advertising. He worked at Foot Cone Belding and Gray, wrote a ton of great commercials that you've seen, like the Heard It Through the Grapevine with the California Raisins, C&H Sugar. Like,
he's an advertising guy.
I saw it, and growing up, I'm like, wow, this looks real. Dad loves what he does. This is really cool. Let me see if I can do something like that. See if I can do something that I love, because they say obviously it's not work. But he wasn't the best with finance, as far as like, he was just so busy and wrapped up with his job. And my mom was like, oh, this bill's late again. So she would say stay-at-home mom, which was great. We don't see too much of that anymore. Yeah. Just in California, we can't. So she would like, oh, Dad paid, he didn't get this late. I got to pay this. I got to do this. So he was really good at, like I said, bringing home the money and being an amazing father. But again, not the best with kind of like, okay, let me pay this. Like I have things written down. As soon as they come into the mail, I pay it and I, get it off there and I put it in my little budget thing. And it's really, and I thank my mom and dad for that, because I've had those months where, like I said, just, oh, this is late. Oh my gosh. And we've all done that in our 20s where we've been late on things, cars getting repoed, that whole thing.
Wait, that happened to you?
Yeah, I would do that. Just, Every
That's
bit
never
of it.
happened to me.
Never.
Repoed.
You laugh because
Repoed is because you didn't pay it off. Is that what that means?
you basically. Well, my fault was I had this because when you're young, gotta have a Corvette. I want something kind of cool and sporty and douchey, whatever. And I was like, now I'm tired of it. Let me get something else. So I gave it to a friend. And said, listen, just take over payments. It's $200 a month. There's like $3,000 owed left. This idiot goes to like Hawaii, doesn't pay it, gets repoed in my name. So I'm like, dude. So my credit goes from like 6 to 5 to 4. So I've taken years to kind of again build that up, and I'm like, okay, this can't happen again, because you realize how important things are, like credit.
Yeah.
You want to go buy homes or cars and not get hit with like 15 to 18% interest rate on a car or whatever. And I think now I read yesterday that the average car payment is between $720 and $1,000 a month.
What?
For your average new car payment.
Oh, God,
Ridiculous.
that's so much.
That's
insane.
insane.
That's not including insurance and gas.
And we're talking average, so
No.
we're probably talking about like Honda Civics and shit, like nothing fancy.
Not fancy.
Just
But if
a
you
new-
want to go out and buy
Oh,
the new
God.
Broncos that are like 60, 70 grand.
Yeah.
That's great. That's you're talking. That's
Oh
rent.
my God.
Jesus.
You might as well live in it. Yeah, because
That's
that's
crazy.
Your dad was in advertising. Do you think that did he ever like hook you up with like your first acting gig or sorry, a commercial acting gig, or was it not related?
Yes and no. When I was like 10, he put me in like this pizza commercial thing where I was just basically like a kid in the background eating pizza, smiling, whatever. So I was like, this is kind of cool. I get to eat for free.
Yeah.
I get to eat pizza.
Yeah.
And I get to sit around and people are treating you really nice. I'm like, this is kind of, so I think it kind of sunk in a little bit, but he passed away right when I started kind of making it happen. He passed away, and I'll never forget the first job I booked after, like I said, about almost 5 years of nothing. I booked a spot for Coors Light, and when the checks started coming in, I noticed on the top that said Foot Cone and Belding, and that's where my dad worked. I'm like, oh, dude, thank you.
So this was your first job, was basically like commercial work, because you said you did this when you were 10 years old.
Yeah,
And
that one, I don't think I even got paid. I was paid in pizza. I was like, this is great. You know what I mean? But yeah.
So what was your first job, like real job?
I was 14, lied, said I was 16, working so I could do like fast food, make
Fuck,
money on my own.
Damn, dude.
And then I went there. Then I've done it all from like there, worked at Gold's Gym, and I worked at Nurseryland. I worked at Guitar Center selling drums. But every job I was fired from every job.
This is high school.
Every one of them.
Wait, why?
If I wouldn't show up, or if I would show up, I'd show up late. I'd always ask for time off. I'd say, hey, I got an audition. David, you had an audition last week. I'm like, well, dude, I hope I'm going to have one next week too. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't going to work. So I knew I had to find something that would allow me the freedom to be ready for the phone call when I said, listen, you've got to be here in Ocean Park in an hour, and not ask a boss. So my thing was, let me think about this. Let me find out things I can do that could allow me to work from home. I'd even go to downtown LA and buy things in bulk, put them on eBay. Then I'd go on like Amazon. I'd find things, deals of the day, and I'd put that on eBay and sell them for like a little bit more.
Whoa.
I'd go to car auctions on a Thursday and buy like 2-3 cars, flip them for the next, clean them up a little bit, buy them for like $1,000, sell them for $2,000. Just crazy.
Yo.
You were hustling.
But California,
Flipping shit.
you have to. It's not, things are so, unless you get lucky, or there's trust fund kids out here, which pisses me off, but they exist, and you see that.
No.
And I'm like, I got to do it. This is all on me. I got to do it myself.
Can I ask what the most you've ever made off a commercial is?
The Coors Light one was like $45,000.
Wow.
In one time or just throughout the
It was one day.
crazy?
And it's just because they kept airing it, and then they took a segment of that, they put it in another commercial, and then it played like it had the wild spots and everything else. And so it was just like, whoa. But again, the dumb me, I went out and bought, let me buy a Dodge Viper. This is cool. This money's
you
going to
did
keep
do
coming
that?
in.
Wow.
And then it stopped for a while, dried up, and I was like, oh, this money isn't coming anymore. What did I do? So it's
Yeah, it's hard to like when I worked in restaurants. We get done. It's midnight. We're all 24 in New York City, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna fucking go out.
Of course.
And we spend all of our tips on like stupid beer. And
yep.
we just repeat every fucking day or every weekend.
Exactly.
And I just think about how like I remember they were at the time. I had coworkers who were working in restaurants in their 30s, and they were like, I think they felt a little embarrassed about being there, but they would never go out with us. Because they're fucking saving, they're older, they're a bit smarter, but we're fucking like 22 and we're spending.
But you have to go through that. That's what
I
your
know.
20s are about.
I guess.
To
Have you
look
done shit like
back.
that?
So what I spent my money on was clothes. Like the first checks I always got, I would go to like a cheap place like Ross, and then I would buy a shit because I could get way more than if I were to go to like Nordstrom's or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I would return it.
after you wear it?
After I wear it, and then I would just keep doing the cycle until, well, every time I would find one thing I actually liked.
Yeah.
And then so by the end I would just like have no money left, but it would just all go to cheap, shitty clothes. And it was just like the worst, and you only wear it like once or twice, but it was like an addiction.
I didn't even know you liked stuff from TJ Maxx.
I don't. Not now. I'm talking about when I first started making money.
Oh, this is when you're working at Abercrombie? Like that?
Like, well, yeah,
days.
exactly.
Those
that money.
days.
Yes, exactly. Like back when I first got the checks, when we were learning how to like what to do with this money that I've never experienced.
Yeah.
But at least you weren't those people that were going off buying like brand name expensive things. Like, you know what I mean? That's,
no, because like it's more about the numbers. I was like, I can't just do one. Where I'm gonna just wear this one fucking little purse.
No way.
No. Yeah.
Exactly. Again, we all go through those little thing. I think guys have their thing with like cars, we're into cars, and girls have their thing with the makeup and shoes and purse, whatever. And it's like we all have that thing. But I did this so many times where I'd look back and I'm like, why did I need that? Why did I buy that? Why did I? Because it's all thing. It means nothing now.
It does.
But no one's thinking about saving and investing in stocks and CDs and all that stuff when you're in your 20s. You just don't think like that.
Right.
Unless you have someone force you. Like I had someone force me into buying my condo. He's like, you need to buy this. You need to. I'm like, what?
Who? Was your parents?
No, it's just a family friend. And I thank him to this day.
Yes. So I think the people who are investing in their 20s are the people with good parental guidance of like, oh, you have some money. Why don't you invest this? And you're like, what the fuck is a S&P 500?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and they show you what that is. Yeah.
That's
No
actually so true. That's why it's so important, like who you're around, especially financially. I think makes a big impact. If you're hanging out with people who don't make money or are living, day by day with, I think you end up being like, oh, that's the norm.
You think that's normal?
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's for them.
100%.
Well, they say you are who you associate yourself with.
Yes,
100%.
but especially financially, I think that's very true.
Oh, you have to be.
Since starting this like podcast, I've like saved so much money. Honestly, I learned so much of, like not only from him but just like from people, like the guests that we have and like the mistakes they've made. I'm like, oh shit, I've done so much with my money so far. Like,
isn't that a great feeling though? And it just gives you that a little bit more of that. You're a little bit more comfortable. You're not as like, because I've had those moments. In fact, every time I get in my shower, that was my time to think, oh my gosh, this bill is due, this bill is, I haven't paid this one, what am I going to do? So I would stress out in the shower. In the last like few years, this is the first time in my life where I'm actually like, wow, I'm in a shower. I'm not thinking about what bills need to be paid because they're paid. Things are fine. But it's because I've lived the majority of my life struggling, hustling, being late, having creditors call. And when you're 20s, you can deal with that. But now I'm like, dude, if someone were to call now, I'm like, this obviously it's the wrong number. What are you talking about? I'm not, But I've had those calls for the majority of my life.
Creditors. So when did that stop? Was that in your 30s? Like when you stopped?
Oh, late 30s. Yeah.
Does that get scary? Because I heard when you have debt, eventually they sell the debt to like a debt collecting company.
Oh, yeah. Then they'll call you like, oh, well, you originally owe $2,000, but if you pay today, we can do it for $1,200. So I wait for those calls. Because you can
get a deal?
Well, you could wait for that, but the problem is when you wait too long, your credit suffers in the meantime too.
Right.
But you can get that $2,000 debt because they sell it to like a company, like you said, and then they're like, "Listen, we just want you to pay it. Would you? How about $1,000? Yeah, I'll do that."
Really? Oh, I always thought there were scary guys like loan sharks. You know
they're
what I mean?
jerks. They're jerks for sure. They're the guys that come to repo your car. They're not They're not nice.
Yeah.
Because they're used to people like what the getting in their face and stuff.
Yeah.
So I say,
yeah.
listen, thanks for calling, but I don't have the money. I can do $800. How about $900? Yeah, okay. And then slowly your credit would rise again.
Oh, I don't know about that shit.
Because it sells to like another company. They so let's say Fireside Thrift and Loan, who you got the car with, is tired of calling you and you not responding and you not paying. They're just going to sell to someone else. And you
think they're selling for less than, so if I owed $1,000, you think they're selling to a loan collecting company for less than $1,000? Is that why this company's okay with me
I'm
paying?
sure.
So they might be selling for $500 or something.
Probably. They just want to get something.
Right. And so then if I pay $800, then they win, and I win.
Exactly.
Oh shit! Should we all just wait?
No, but then
because then your credit goes like
your credit during the time.
And when you want to go buy a house, it's like, oh, wait a minute, what's this thing back in 2004 you had with the car Corvette you had repoed? I'm like,
oh, I see.
Yeah.
But when you purchased your home or your condo, was there a problem with like them going into your credit and like
because you gotta have good credit by
house. How did that work out?
Well, I figured I had a cosigner at the time, and I also had a pretty decent amount down from a chunk of commercial stuff too, and my friend helped, and he says, listen, you know what, just when you go to sell it, or you can probably at some point it'll be worth this much more. You can do a line of credit, refi, pull some money out, pay me, which I did, because it obviously went from like this to this to this. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of exciting. So I would, yeah, it's kind of fun to see your money like this is amazing. And now, again, as I always say, I don't think I could go into that same place now with 20% down and then pay what, $6,000 a month for a month. It's like, come on. It blows my mind what people are paying. And they say, I just read this too. They say you have to have 3 separate incomes to afford one home these days.
Yeah.
So the husband or wife has like 2 jobs. The other one has, side hustle thing, whatever. And even still, I still have this kind of mindset of like on the thing I'm sure you saw there, Turo, which is I have some cars that I buy and I buy them really, really cheap. So I'm not, someone wrecks one, destroys it or takes it, whatever, it's no big deal, but I rent them out. So people come to my house and they pick it up for the week, sometimes a month, people in town, Airbnb being a place. I just want to so I buy little smart cars or Fiats and I have those and they just come. I had a lady pick one up about 2 hours ago and I'm saying, okay, so you're back on Thursday at 10 o'clock. I'm like, if you need an extra hour, so that's fine. Just bring it back with the same full tank. We're good. So that everything I make from that, I put into stocks.
I was going to ask about Turo because I've used it in Hawaii and I love the service. I want to know because a lot of people who do Airbnb they complain that the fees are really high and they're not actually making money. Same thing with Ubers.
Yep. What
What has your experience been like with Turo? Are you actually making a decent amount of money? And what are sort of the expenses associated with that? Because you got to buy the goddamn cars and it sounds like you have 2 or 3. And cars can't be cheap, but they're not that cheap. If you're buying 2 or 3, you're probably spending like $10K.
Each car, I don't go any more than $6,000 for a car.
Okay.
So, and they've got to be 10 years or newer.
Okay.
With under 120,000 miles. You have to look for that when you buy.
And those are Turo restrictions.
Was that?
Those are
Those are the restrictions.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
It's got to be, can't be older than 10 years unless it's like a classic car.
Yeah.
Can't have any more than 120,000 miles. So I go to look for a car. I'll get like a smart car or a Fiat. And I'm like, okay, this is good. They're asking 6,500. I'll give you 55. Like, well, it's all I got here. Cash. Okay. So I bring it home, put it in the platform, rent it out. The only expense for me is the oil changes, car washes, regular maintenance and stuff. But, again, I saw this girl who had a fleet of 25 cars, high-end stuff, and she's making $200K a year. I'm like, ooh, this is kind of a nice, I want to do that. Not that I want to get to that level because she said, listen, she goes, I'm at the car wash or the oil change every day. She goes, this is my full-time job.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that, but it's a nice little side hustle thing where, like I said, I do a portion of that goes to stocks. Then I'll do Fiverr and everything that goes from there pays mortgage. Then the acting, everything I make from that now will go into a savings account.
How much money are you making doing the Turo thing?
I probably made like $25,000 last year.
Okay, so it's a great side income.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to buy more cars,
That's
I'd make
really
more.
good.
It's what you put in kind of thing. But I don't want the full time okay.
But you don't really have any expenses unless the cars break down, right? Because they have to pay for gas.
Yeah, they pay for gas.
Right.
If they
So
pick it up with a full tank, they got to
for
bring
you.
it back with a full tank.
Right.
So there really is no.
Right. So it's initial. So you probably, if you have 3 Fiats, you probably spend you said 6,000, so like $18K initial investment, but you can make that back in like a year. And so
about a year and a half. Year and a half to 2 years tops, you'll make that. So everything else at that point is total profit.
Right. Right. That's pretty incredible.
That's actually.
So it's fun. Yeah. It's a great little side hustle. And even honestly, even if, thanks to my mom, like I said, I've got that mindset. Like I said, even if I were to do, let's just say, incredibly well with a new show or something, whatever, I'd still would do this on the side because it keeps your mind off just worrying about if the phone's going to ring and wondering if I'm going to book that job. Oh, you're on hold for this. You're the top choice. But yet a week has gone by. I've heard nothing. So you can't help but to think about those jobs that you didn't get or that you might still get. Oh, you're still in the running. Oh, I am. Okay. So your mind is always playing these little tricks like, am I good? Oh, maybe I should shave it. Maybe it's this. Ooh, is this too creepy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're always thinking about new ways to kind of stay relevant, I don't know, because you see all these people now that are again doing really, really good for now. But then you hear the horror stories of I haven't worked in like a year or whatever. And that still scares me.
Yeah, I feel like the more I do comedy full time, the more I'm realizing it's not really about comedy. It's sort of I just have to figure out how to make money without really depending on other people. That's to me, that's the real secret. And obviously if I get booked on a show or get a writing gig, that's awesome. But again, to your point, I know it's gonna end. Here's a true story. There's a guy that I used to work with when I wrote for Corden. He's a head mono writer, the monologue joke writer. He's been there for 6-7 years. He's a crucial part of the show. He used to have his own advertising business, and then he got discovered on Twitter and started writing for television shows. He's a great joke writer, and he's an older guy. He's I don't know, 50, 60-ish, old white guy. And he's just the show is ending, so Corden's ending in April, and I remember talking to him like a year ago, and he was like, yeah, I just feel like I can't really get hired anywhere else anymore, so I think I'm just gonna go back to advertising. And I was like, that's so crazy to me, because you just had this like really respected job for like 8 years.
Sure.
Your resume is amazing.
Yeah.
And now here's this guy who has to like maybe go back to what he was doing before. And I'm like, what other industry is that even remotely a thing?
Right.
If you worked at Google for 8 years, people would be fucking sucking your dick to go anywhere else.
You want to go. Guess what? Here's where I was before.
It's crazy.
Resume
man.
doesn't mean anything. I mean, it does mean something to an extent, but you're only as good as your last. I think Anthony Michael Hall said this years ago. You're only as good as your last job, and there's no guarantee you're going to get the next, because you're competing with. And the bigger you get, the more you're going out for things that you probably won't get. Like I've seen over the years, like I was going out for garbage. Things started slowly getting better. Then you book this nice little episodic credit, and then you're what they call network approved. So you're like, oh, well, you did this show. You must be good enough to do our show. So you're getting bigger opportunities.
Right.
You know, and these days there's so many. I mean, NBC, CBS, Fox, Hulu, Amazon. There's so many different outlets of things you can potentially be on. But then again, now you're competing for, like, I had an audition last week for a Denzel Washington movie where I had to play like a slave owner, and it was like 3
Please do an
pages.
impression right now. Please do an impression.
But it was 3 pages of like phone book thick style dialogue. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not getting this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, let's be real. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and I was like, this is a blessing. Thank you. But at the same time, they're obviously going to give that to a name. Who am I fooling? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I know that, but I'm to a point now where I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Just that you have this Toro thing on your side.
I have it on the side. So if I don't book this, I'm cool with that.
So what is it, now that we are talking about that, have you ever like sold yourself out and done a job that's definitely outside of your value system?
Yeah, and that's kind of creeps into the totally.
What is it?
Well, that creeps into the non-union world of like, ooh, should I be doing this for like, yeah, I need to eat. Let's do it. You know, and you see a handful of actors that do that over the years that are just like, oh, he was just in Pulp Fiction, but now he's doing what's this? You know what I mean? But it's paying the rent. They got to pay the rent.
Can you talk about the thing that you did, or does that?
Well, there's nothing really that was so bad where I'm like, oh my gosh. And I do my research now too. Like I have,
good.
you know, you kind of have to. Like when you get an alert, a email come in and it says, okay, this is your audition. I will look at everything from the director, the writer, the producer. Even if I don't recognize any of them, I'll like, okay, let me at least look at the casting director, see what they've done. And you look at the cast director and it's like, oh, all you've done is like 3 shorts and they're really bad. And I'll even go as far as on YouTube to look at the shorts to see how bad they are. I'm like, no, not doing this.
Yeah.
Because if you do enough of that garbage, you'll never get to that next level.
Well, you become that level. You have like you're just telling yourself. Yeah, you're telling yourself. You sold yourself out, and you're like, this is all I'm worth.
And that's exactly
right.
You start saying to yourself, well, I guess this is all I'm worth. And then if you think that's all you're worth, guess what? Casting's gonna think that's all you're worth, and that's all you'll ever get.
Yeah.
You have to say no. There's a password. Saying no is a password to the next level. You have to say no.
Get that tattooed on my back.
I'm gonna get a tattooed on my head to remind myself to not do this crap. Yeah. Because
have you done? Have you sold yourself out? Everybody has like a nightmare gig story. I feel.
Oh God, I know I have for sure.
I've been doing it that long. You must remember something.
I think when I first started, I didn't realize my value. Like
Exactly.
I didn't know my worth because you just get into this industry and everyone tells you how hard it is. So you're like, oh, it's hard. So I'm supposed to be doing I think people start in background work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
extra work. Yeah.
Yeah. Like show work. Cause you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I've definitely done background. I've done music videos where I've never really had to hoe out, but I've had to.
What kind of music videos? Like rap?
Yeah, like rap music.
Oh, okay.
You know, Wiz Khalifa, Future. I've done a lot of random music videos, but I'm not the model. I'm the background but what you realize if you do a couple first of the couple, you realize you're the hottest one there, and you're like, oh, this is weird. Why am I doing these jobs? And then I don't realize until you start talking to the other people who have more the main character featured
grinding
modeling
with
shit,
Wiz
and you're
Khalifa.
and then you're like, oh, I didn't need to get paid $200 eat slices of pizza to do this music video. I could have gotten paid $1,000 as the main model if I just had the right representation or if I knew. So you don't know because you're just testing the waters.
Yeah.
So I've done weird shit like that. So I've been in music videos where I get paid $100, $200, not knowing that I could be getting paid more.
Sure.
I did a thing for America's Got Talent. It never aired.
Wait,
never aired. But when I lived in New York, they were like, we want to have you audition. I was like, okay. So they flew me out to Pasadena. They put me up and I did the audition. I did the audition for like Simon and all those people. I got 4 stars, but like a part of America's Got Talent is your story. Like, what's your story, right? And so they were like interviewing me about my background and stuff like that. And they did this thing where they were like, okay, cool. Can you tell us your name and where you're from? And I was like, oh, my name is Fumi Abe. I was born in Funabashi, Chiba in Japan. And they were like, cut. Can you just say you're from Tokyo? Because nobody knows what that is. And they made me say that. And then I just got such a bad taste in my mouth for the rest of the thing that I was like so not into it. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna like, I mean, it's weird. Maybe I was being too like diva-ish, but I was like, this just feels so hacky already. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you like you're just trying to get me to like fit into that stereotypical Asian story. Like, oh, do you want to be a doctor?
They want the sob story. They want you to get a bad childhood. Maybe you got And
it's like, no, my parents they thought I was too stupid to be a doctor. You know what I mean? That's not my story at all. They're like, please don't be a doctor. You're gonna kill somebody. You know what I mean? So that's not my story. But it didn't make sense for them because they're like, no, I thought you guys were all like doing violin and you know what. And so they didn't like that I didn't fit that mold. And thank God it didn't air. But like, I don't know. I had this couple months where I was like, oh my God, if it airs, like I feel like it's just not like a very good representation of like, and in comedy especially, it's all about being like authentic and who you are. Like that's all you have.
That's the problem. Is a lot of us aren't able. We can't afford to say no to these little jobs.
Yeah.
In the beginning, anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the tough part, is knowing that. In probably the last 5 years, I've been telling nope, I'm not gonna do that. Nope, I'm not gonna do that. I've turned and I hate turning things down, but like you said, you have to know your worth. You have to know that I don't want to be seen in this light. I don't want to do this. Because I know someone's going to see that job, the one that you don't want to do, that you had to do for money.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm embarrassed to even do it. So find a side hustle that allows you to say no to these little jobs that you don't want to do, that you're embarrassed about. Or because again, you do enough of those jobs, that's how they see you. And I'm all about now at this point, quality over quantity. So even if I'm not going out as much or I'm not working as much, at least the things that I'm doing, I'm proud of. I can say these are good, these are strong, these are solid. I can put them on my reel. And it's great versus the one, like you said, that's just doing all sorts of garbage. And sure, your IMDb is like stacked high with like 90 credits. I'm like, oh, wow. But you look at them and it's like, oh, short, uncredited, Office Man #4, whatever. It's like,
yeah, that's awesome. We have new standards for ourselves.
You went from Hot Girl 97 to maybe you could be number 2 or 3, you know?
I actually, that's the thing. It's like, you don't know, but you can just find representation. You could get a modeling agent. You could do all these things. And it's hard because you don't know, like our industry, our worth is kind of based on other people's perception.
It's like crypto, bro. It's all rumors and like hype. You know what I mean?
It is, but what I'm saying is like it takes other people's like judgment of us to find out where we fit in, right? In a way.
Oh, for sure.
And that's also like horrible to our
psyche.
mental health, our psyche. We're like, wait, are we number Hot Girl 97?
Yeah.
And then until someone tells you who's a little bit higher up, it's like a power thing, and then they're like, no, you could be Hot Girl 3. And
like, really? Okay.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. And it takes like testing it out and people having to tell you, and we like put all this like shit in someone else's hand. It's kind of a crazy thing we do.
If you think about it, really, we have not just a screw. We have several screws loose to even choose this for a career. If you think about it.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Us quitting our jobs.
We're literally sitting there, but like, you're like, what? I didn't want to work, so I started selling cars on eBay. Like, you know, like, which is totally fine, but it's like, to some people, they'll be like, why don't you just get like a regular office job or something, you know? But we're a little crazy and we can't do that.
Because that would be so boring. At the end of the day,
boring.
It just would be boring. At least the stress, having creditors come to us. At least it's kind of a story. At least we say we live life. And
we're great at parties. Okay, we're really great at parties. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have insurance, but we're great at parties.
Hello, my sweet employed and unemployed cuties.
Ever been injured at work? Ever struggled to take a lunch break without being judged? Ever wrongfully terminated?
If you have answered yes or no of anyone who has, consider contacting your Korean lawyer friend, Briana Kim, at KoreanLawyerFriend.com or at 714-482-6301.
Your Korean lawyer friend will protect and seek enforcement of your rights as an employee.
Has a manager ever asked you to run personal errands beyond your job responsibilities? Have you ever been let go unfairly because your boss is retaliating against you for personal reasons like sexual orientation or lifestyle?
You should be compensated for all of the above because you and your time are valuable. I remember when I worked in the music industry back in the late 2000s, I had like an admin job and I felt like my boss was using me as her personal assistant on and off the clock, and I wasn't really sure how to bring it up. And I wish I knew that there was somebody I could call because at the time I didn't know that I had rights.
I remember a manager once told me to wear makeup because I didn't look old enough for the office. I remember feeling so embarrassed and started questioning whether my age actually affected my work abilities. Briana Kim works on contingency, which means her services are free until she settles the case. So you have nothing to lose.
Contact Briana Kim PC today at KoreanLawyerFriend.com for a free consultation by mentioning our podcast, Cuties.
I want to go into the audit, which is the section where it's a bit of a game. We look through your credit card statements, which you've sent us. It's actually part of partially a bank statement thing that you sent us. And so we could see where your money's been coming in and out. And we have some questions for you.
Shoot.
I noticed that this is so interesting. I noticed that on March 12th, you bought something for $15 on Temu.com. Now, Temu.com is like, I've been seeing ads for this on YouTube every time I watch a video. I don't know if they're showing it to me because I'm Asian, but I believe it's like a Chinese Amazon.
Totally.
And their ads are so crazy. Their commercials are so wild. They're like, what are we going to do with all these droids that we're selling for $4? They're selling droids, or not, is that drones? Drones
for like $4. Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. Is that what you bought? You bought
I bought some workout shoes that were like $6.
That's $15. That's so cheap.
Yeah,
$15 for shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, this is insane.
Do they come?
Crazy.
Are they good?
They're okay.
Tell us about Temu.
They're kind of shitty.
It's like
they're better than what you would think. And I think if you were to go to Ross, whatever, for the same shoes, they'd probably be like $25. So I'm like, ooh, it was like $15, I think, right?
But do they sell like Nike and stuff, or is it all like random Chinese brands?
No, they're not selling brand names like that. As far as not that I saw, but these were like some knockoff thing. But they looked really cool. They're nice, bright white. I'm like, oh, these are kind of fun. And they were shipped pretty quick. And I was like, oh, okay. This is cool. And I think I saw a couple of the things I wanted on there, but because it's that cheap thing. I'm always looking for cheap deals.
That's what I was thinking, because I feel like it takes a lot for an American person to shop at Temu.com because their advertising is so Chinese and like so aggressive.
But I like that. I like it.
But when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's frugal as fuck. He's
totally.
He's taking a chance. He's an early adopter of Temu.com.
He's like, this is my guy. He's all for it. So.
Because there's that great feeling again of getting a bargain. Like, ooh, this feels kind of nice.
Yeah.
I was looking at your finances and I noticed that you eat out like not that often, and that the places you eat out are mostly pizza, lots of junk food, Panda Express, I would say mostly American. You went to 2 Asian spots in the last, this is like a month and a half back. And that incorporated 1 Korean place. Very proud of you. Wang Do Yaji.
Oh, amazing. All you can eat Korean barbecue. Cheapest in Reseda.
No, all you can eat.
For $36?
No.
That's so cheap.
And
Was that lunch or dinner?
My wife and I still went Dutch. I'm like, you pay for yours, I pay for mine.
This is so...
Wow.
Wait, you're married.
Yeah.
Wait, he went Dutch?
Do you have a shared bank account with your wife?
No.
Okay, tell us why. Because your shit is your shit?
Here's the thing. She is the nicest person you'll ever meet, and she's so kind and so generous, but she's not the best saver. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I can't be a part of that thing, but
you know what I'm talking about? I feel you so hard.
Right?
I feel there's only a certain kind of people I would trust with my money.
Yeah.
And I totally, if I was, for sure.
Wow.
And I'm trying to help her budget. And listen, I force her to save now too, and I put the money in an account. It's my account, but it's under her kind of thing. I'm like, hey, listen, you just put it in there, and I'll give you a little statement of what you're making and what you have, and then if you want, we can talk about maybe in a Roth IRA at some point too. But she's not used to the saving thing. She likes to spend and shop, and I know I'm going to come home right now, and there's going to be like 14 packages in the front. Got this, I got a new bag, I got a new purse, I'm like, oh.
But she's not in debt.
No, she's not.
So
she makes good money, but she spends it immediately.
What would you do? How would you feel about the relationship if you knew she was in debt? Like, say that you saw a credit card statement and it was $7,000 in debt.
I'd have to rethink that.
The whole marriage? The whole marriage? You're not gonna have a conversation with her. You're not gonna.
We'd have to discuss you paying the shipping, not just chipping away, but completing that entire $7,000 before we can even discuss, like, because when you're married, you're with that person's debt is your debt.
Oh, then you're right. You're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're.
Wait,
absolutely
are
right.
you saving? Like, I know the main thing people always talk about getting married is you save on taxes.
You do.
You do.
You do. Like
in
my
what
first
way?
we did it last year for the first time. Like, ooh, so instead of owing, I'm getting money back. Oh, this is a good. Why didn't I get married earlier? This is great.
Do you know
there are some
why?
perks.
Do you know why that is?
Yeah. How are you?
No.
How is it working?
You don't know how it works.
I have no idea how it works.
No one knows.
You're gonna tell me.
Knows. No one knows. I don't know. I
No.
mean, I assume it's because your like tax bracket like amount is like higher, and so like or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can make more and stay in the same bracket. Is what I'm. But there could be. I mean, it sounds like every time I talk to a married person, it's like a significant amount. So there must be something else going on.
Really? I thought it was all bullshit. I thought it was like the Catholic like group of like
Trying to get
whatever
people
trying to get people to
No,
get
it
fucking
really
married.
was something because, like I said, I tried. I'm like, let's try it to see how it is. Filing separately, and it was going to be this much I owe versus marriage. She goes, oh, well, you're actually going to get money back. I'm like, so I saw right then and there. I'm like, oh, this is okay. This is good.
Okay,
so, yeah, that was.
Okay, the other Asian place you went to was Yamato, which is Japanese food.
It's
I'm
like
guessing.
it's a cheaper version of Benihana.
Dude, it was expensive.
Everything he says is a
crazy.
cheaper version of
This is crazy.
I heard you.
Hence Temu.
Looks like you went to Pam's Club. What is Pam's? No.
I'm like, what is that? Is that all you can eat?
I love this
It's
frugal.
like not Yamamoto's. That's the expensive place.
Yeah.
It's Yamato. No, it is.
Different Japanese guy.
I mean, that is the most money. You spent $70 there. And
That was
that
a
is
lot. I
the
didn't
most.
go Dutch. I actually was like, I'm going to treat you tonight. I had a good check
so
coming that day. Yeah.
too. That's
So
not
you're
bad.
trying to get the nookie there.
Yeah.
You were like, you know
Wow.
what? I'm going to have to. That's interesting.
I don't
You
always go
spent-
Dutch. I don't want to be the douchebag that goes Dutch all the time. But I was
Yeah.
like, I got this.
It's
tonight.
different with your wife. I feel that you're a
Yeah.
unit.
Yeah.
So I didn't. We should make like a whole PowerPoint deck for each person, but we didn't have time to do it this time. But I did just quickly gather like categorically how much you're spending, and it's interesting because you have this like very frugal personality. Actually, before I get to this,
You can say cheap. You can say
Can
tight
you
wad.
tell
That's
us
fine.
the-
Do people call you cheap?
All the time.
and
And
you're cool with it.
I will not go, for example, I will never go out to dinner with a bunch of people unless I take the waitress aside and say, listen, can you put mine on a separate check?
Yes.
You're
You
talking about
have
doing
to.
that.
You have to.
You're
Because
talking
if you
about doing
don't,
that.
you're going to get
You're gonna
screwed.
get fucked.
Because I don't order a bunch of drinks. I don't do that. If you want a drink, we're going to drink at home. I'm going to buy it. Go to
Yeah.
the liquor store and buy it. If I want to drink some beer or whatever. So I take the waitress aside because here's what always happens, and you know this works. I just ordered, like, you go to Denny's, I ordered a Grand Slam. Why am I paying $60? Because everybody else had ordered drinks. They don't factor that in, and the tip and the tax. I'm like, So I'm paying, or I just won't eat. I'll go for the company, but I'm like, no, I already ate.
You're that guy who
No,
won't eat.
yesterday I went to a restaurant with a bunch of my friends,
Yeah.
and they ordered an appetizer. I wasn't even hungry. This was my second dinner. It was just to like hang out.
Yeah.
I did order my own dish, but at the end the check came,
Yeah.
and of course I paid for the appetizer. I didn't.
You
take,
split it. You just split it.
There were two
equally.
appetizers. I didn't even touch it, and I felt I had to pay an extra. That was like an extra $10.
Do you think that maybe you could ask for to-go box and just like put some in your box? So because you
Of
know
the
because you
appetizer?
know you're gonna have to pay for that. Is it worth it to just
bring it home?
proactively like just bring it home because you have to pay for that anyway, so you can eat it later?
But I didn't even want the appetizer. It's like meat. It was also like, I don't know why my mom was like, hey, don't eat meat. Like, I'm not even like really religious, but she was just like, don't eat meat because it's Easter or whatever. So
Is that,
they
okay.
ordered
Is that a
that.
thing? I've never heard of
I
that.
think it's
Okay.
a thing, right? You're not supposed to eat. I don't know.
Well, there's certain times like Lent, you have to give up, certain things. And I really respect that. I love when people are like, I'm a vegetarian because of this. And I'm like, that is awesome. But I do like meat. And if we're talking about that, this is how cheap I am too. I'll go to the all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue and I tell my wife, we're bringing a Ziploc bag and we're going to stick meat in as it comes out. Oh, yeah. Because that's tomorrow's meal.
Yeah, but that's not
Did you do that?
allowed
All
though.
the time.
That's not allowed
But he
though.
doesn't give a fuck.
it's not allowed.
He
It's
doesn't
not allowed.
care.
It's not allowed.
It's not about being allowed.
It's definitely not allowed.
He's getting off on this shit.
See,
Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's going to
That's
happen.
where I get off
we
the
have a
bus,
whole
man.
bag of meat that's going to be cool for like a couple days.
You lost me there.
Is that when you wear like your cargo pants?
No, I put it in
why-
my wife's purse.
It's
Right
your
here.
extra big purse.
Of course.
And
That's the
your
purse that she
wife-
ordered online.
How
Paid a
does
lot
your
for. We're
wife
gonna
take take that you're doing that? Is she cool with that, or is she embarrassed?
Doesn't like. She's like, I don't like when you do this. I'm very embarrassed. They're coming. I'm like, they're not coming. It's fine. Here, I'll put it in.
I've never heard of uncooked meat being stuffed into.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
No, it's cooked. We don't take it raw. No, it's cooked.
Oh, I thought I took it raw.
No, I'm not taking home like raw meat.
Like,
He's like, I'm saving on gas. He needs to be cooked. He puts it in the bag.
No, I'm just cooked on the grill. You're cooking all stuff, and then I'm like, okay, one for me, one for the bag.
Dave, give us the context of his credit card. Is this your credit card? Is it shared?
No, it's mine.
It's yours. And you have multiple credit cards.
I have two, but I got rid of all the other ones because, again, I wanted to live. This year, my goal was to live just simple to the point I wanted to pay off everything, be totally out of debt. The only thing I have now is my mortgage, and that's obviously, it's going to be there for a while.
I asked that because, to Steffie's point, like, really, so this is like about a month, right? You said about a month of data.
It's about a month.
You really only spent about $160 on eating out, and then you spent about $211 on groceries. That's so little. I feel like I'm not sure how you can live like that in a month.
Do you eat at home a lot?
Well, it's because I'm
like
shicing meat in Ziploc bags. I'm just kidding.
That $30 Korean meal was actually 10 meals.
That's 2 days worth of food.
100%.
And I'm going to Aldi, 99-cent store, Costco, buying in bulk. I'm not going to like Gelson's or like even Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, because that to me is like, no, I can get this over here for the, half the
Are
price.
you judgmental of people that do spend money like
No,
that?
no, I've got one of my best friends. He's like, dude, we're going to Dantana's again. We're going to here. Him and his wife are all about eating out and enjoying it. And I think that's great too, but I can't. I'm like, I'd feel so guilty.
Wow.
I won't allow myself to enjoy it because I don't feel like I don't deserve it.
So do you feel like you socialize less because of this? Because part of me going out to eat dinners and shit is because I want friends in my life. So like, are you?
He starts crying.
There's no socializing. I'm not picking up friends going to the 99-cent store. I'll pick you up too, bro. We're gonna get some nuts and some meat. No,
he's got a wife. He's it's different.
I'm doing things responsibly because, again, I've spent so much of my years, my youth, just not doing that and eating out every day. And then someone broke it down. They go, you realize if you eat out twice a day, which you do, Panda's $10, Chipotle's $10. That's $20. That's okay. That's $20 a day times 7. That's it. I'm like, oh, geez, I spent. Whoa, what am I doing?
No, I feel you. I watch your stories all the time, and you're always eating, and it makes me so anxious.
What?
It makes me anxious, dude.
That's crazy.
It makes me anxious. I'm like, because I know
you worry about my finances.
I know yesterday you were at some Korean spot, and I saw all the plates, and I counted. I was like, okay, that's like 13 plates.
We're becoming codependent, financially codependent. If you're
I'm just
getting
like,
anxious.
I was gonna DM and be like, get out. Get out now. Leave before the last dish arrives. Leave.
It's a food cult. Okay, so what is there must be somewhere in your life where you do spend money.
Yeah,
what
you
is
splurge.
like your
vice.
what is your his? Can I say his is going to strip clubs?
Yeah, I'm stingy, but I'll go to strip
Sure,
clubs.
But he'll go to that's where
you don't want low class.
Well, he does. He asks for the discount. Strippers.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
Don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
He goes off the off hours.
Okay,
Yeah,
go to the Ellie. We could get the free coupon cut out for free admission, right?
Yeah.
How about you? Where's
where's your money
going? That
you have to have something.
I go a little crazy on my drums and cars sometimes. Yeah,
okay, so what kind of car do you have? I didn't ask you that earlier.
I got a Tesla. I've had it for like two and a half years.
Okay.
A used one or a new
sense.
one?
Oh, I bought it used, of course. Not buying that new.
So how much did you? How much was it?
He was asking 34. I said, listen, I got 32 cash.
Where did you buy it?
Some guy who's an engineer who was upping his to the Model 3 because he wanted the self-drive kind of thing. I didn't need the self-drive. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I saved a ton of money on that. I think brand new is like $75,000 car, which I never would have done. But I figured I can justify 32.
No,
On
32 is
Craigslist?
good
Right?
for a fucking Tesla because like a brand new Prius these days like 30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Are you getting free electricity? Like, do you go to one
Oh
of
yeah,
those?
I got grandfathered in for this free supercharging for life. Another reason I got it too.
What?
So I can go to any
because
supercharging
the
station
car
and
was
get it free.
so old? Is that why? It comes with the car?
Uh-huh.
Wow. And I was
Yeah.
going to ask you, so Tesla insurance is like pretty infamous for being expensive, but I see that you only spend about $200 a month on insurance.
That's for all the cars. That's for the Tesla, my wife's car, and the Turo cars.
How are you doing that? Because, bro, my insurance right now is $215 with State Farm, and I just have one Prius. What's
Go to
happening?
Progressive. I don't mean to try to sell you on something.
I gotta go Progressive?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit them up.
They're better.
Okay.
Yeah, they're cheap.
I'm learning.
And every time you add a
learning.
car, it's like I just added a smart car last week, and it was like an extra $15 a month. I was like, that's it, because you stack. You have so many on there. It's just like,
should we go in together?
Should we switch it? Okay, switch it.
Should we? Right?
Well, because
Yeah.
for a while she was paying $500 a
Dude,
month.
I
She was getting
fucked
scammed.
Are you serious?
He just lost 5 years of his
Wow.
life. He just lost 5 years of his life because I told him.
I didn't know I was getting scammed.
She was getting scammed.
I have a Jeep and I was paying $500
A Jeep,
a month.
not even like a nice car.
Dude, a Jeep is a nice car.
Sorry, that came from within.
Jeeps are actually great because they're the only car that you could actually. It's one of those things where it's high end, but it's not. It's you could pull up anywhere
I agree.
be. You know what I mean?
It's
pull
respect.
up anywhere.
People always say
She's
it's cool no matter
K-Town,
what.
bro. You're not going anywhere.
I don't use it the right way.
Jeeps are expensive now, though.
I know, because they're cool looking.
But I got it during the pandemic when there's like they are having a massive sale for some fucking reason. So in the end, I leased it out for $300 a month.
Okay.
But I know you people that like save money hate leases.
Oh, I'll never finance a car again, ever.
Never
because because getting burned, getting the credit ruined, I think of all that stuff. I'm like, if I don't have the money, I'm not going to buy it. I don't care if I have to drive a little shit box around with missing help. If that's the point where I'm at, that's what I'm buying.
What's the respect? You're into cars. You obviously it's your hobby, but it's also like where you figured out a way to make money for yourself, which is amazing. I need to know. I need something. Like my lease is over in August. What car should I get that is respectable? Kind of like has like a name of some sort. Like I am kind of still. That's very LA of me.
Of course. We're all to a degree. We have that.
I'm very much like that, and that's like not very expensive.
I'm going to show you I have a smart car in front today. It's you
like
love
a
it.
tiny smart
tiny
car?
but really cool looking.
You're not gonna get a smart car, bro.
11,000, and it looks stunning. It's honestly.
Like I would get hurt in it.
No, you won't. It's got tritium, like steel siding, 6 airbags. It's like it looks like a roller skate with windows, but it's actually really safe, and it's sporty looking. It's fun. It's fast.
Can you use the highway?
I love it.
You use the highway?
Yeah.
Wait, so how much for Turo? How much is it to rent the car out?
I put that up for like $40 a day.
That's fair.
Wow.
So you make your money back.
You know what I think you should get? Have you seen that movie called Drive My Car?
Yeah.
You should get that Saab. That red Saab.
I don't know what it looks like. I gotta look it up.
That's,
okay, Saab.
You saw that the entire movie was about that car.
Oh, yes, the old
Japanese
one,
Korean movie.
The vintage one.
Yeah.
Oh,
that old Saab, like something that's been taken care
Saabs
of.
Saabs
are cool, man.
Yeah.
It's a European.
But it's an old car. Is that a smart investment?
If they took care of it.
Well, if they took care of it, depending on how low the miles is, do the Carfax, see what the history is. Or what about a Fiat? Fiats are fun. They're cheap.
I think he works for Fiat.
Are you trying to sell your cars to me right now?
I'm just thinking.
He sends you an eBay link. Yeah. I got this one.
I got a
He's
link
like, I know
here.
this guy. He gets his number.
It's my number.
He just puts on a voice. Hey, how are you?
Hello, you wanted the Fiat?
Dave?
That's so funny.
I can tell by your face you clearly don't want a Fiat. You're like,
I
Dude,
don't
this
know.
is how. Okay, we talk about how cheap you are. This is how cheap you are, bro. Okay, so I don't. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I've noticed that ever since moving to LA, so in other places of the country, you can just go to the fucking gas station to get your car washed. LA, you have to pay people or do it yourself. You only spent $9 on car wash, which means I know you're doing it yourself or going somewhere mad cheap because my place costs like $27.
Yeah, I don't do. Yeah,
where you go? Are you doing the thing where you got to do it yourself?
Oh yeah, that or the gas station. Or I go to Wednesdays, so they have the self car wash thing. Wednesdays is like only $9 versus the $13. It's right near my house. It's you drive through it yourself, and they wash it for you.
They don't have those in LA. I thought the machine ones, right?
Oh yeah,
they're not very common in this area. At least.
Yeah, there's one right near my house, which is amazing. And every Wednesday they have like $9 instead of like $13, whatever. So I'm like, oh, let me do that. You just drive it through, and then you have to dry it off yourself.
You know what I just realized? This personality, like I feel as if it becomes part of your personality to be. It's almost a hobby to be cheap.
He's gaming
is a hobby.
it. He's gaming
No,
it.
like because I don't know if you're like this, but when I'm like really frugal and saving, I become a coupon clipper. Like when I purchase shit, like I always have to look for like deals and shit like that, and it becomes part of your personality. It is but it's like a hobby. It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun. It makes you feel good when you save money.
You called me a couple of times getting excited because I get like excited knowing I got this great deal.
Yeah.
And even if I were to make a completely different financial situation tomorrow, I would still be the cheap guy that I am now because it's something that feels really good about getting a deal.
Man, bro, I feel like, God, if you got famous and you were in MTV Cribs, I feel like you would just live in an apartment like this.
Oh,
and you'd be like, yo, check out my Prius.
I think it was like Sean William Scott that come look at my place.
I know,
the
episode is 5 minutes long because you live in a 1-bedroom and you're just like saving money.
Totally. Here it is.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I think there's something to be said about that to where, again, sure, I do this intentionally. I drive by my place. I can either have 2 routes to get home. There's Burbank, which is like bars in the windows, guys carrying taco trucks, graffiti, or there's Chandler, which is like $7 million homes. And I'm like, so I drive by there just to kind of like, okay, someday this is going to happen. Because you have to kind of motivate yourself. You have to get to that level of like, okay, it will happen. You don't just question like, will it? No, it will happen at some point. It's just a matter of when. Yeah. But you drive by, like something like you were saying, you hang out with the right people that are going places, that are thinking about things, that are teaching you. And like I had a guy last week that was like, dude, David, pull your money out of the bank, buy precious metals. So last week I went to this coin shop and bought a bunch of silver because of the whole bank thing. Yeah.
Wait, who told you this? Who told you this?
My neighbor Damien, who's just this he's predicted the cost of like eggs going up to $8, you know, a thing.
What?
He predicted all this stuff. I'm like, oh, you're right. Oh my gosh.
Wait,
And
what metals do we need to buy?
silver right now.
Dude, my girlfriend's brother's super into that. Said he got into the whole Joe Rogan shit, and now all he buys is silver with cash. And for Christmas he gave us silver coins, and like Maria and I were like, okay.
I love him. No, that's definitely, you should thank him.
I'm gonna go buy
because
some
right now,
silver
last
coins.
year it was like $12 an ounce. Now it's like 30. They anticipated going to $50 an ounce by the end of the year. So it can't hurt.
Dude, it makes sense because it's, you know what? It's like it's like the modern man buys Bitcoin.
Yeah.
The old school guy buys
silver
coins.
Silver is the boomers.
Is the
Bitcoin.
boomers. Yes. But to be safe, we got to get both.
Yeah,
you gotta get
there
both.
you go.
We gotta
as I said, diversify. Whether it's, you know, have a little bit in stocks, a little bit in CDs, a little bit in your Roth IRA, a little bit in savings, a little bit in your property, whatever, and then coins. That was a little scary to me. I'm like, what am I? I'm buying coins? Like, where am I going to stick these in my house? And my mom was like, okay, get a safety deposit box. You're only $38 a month at your bank. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm always thinking about,
I want some silver now.
I just imagine you guys at the creek with the little strainer, like
right, the little that's fool's gold, buddy.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is not
the
California in
gold
the
rush.
1869 or whatever. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
That's so
I love it.
Eureka!
Yeah, I know. Jesus Christ. All right.
All right, cool. That was so fun.
That was great, man.
Yeah.
That was really, really great. Thank you for fucking doing the podcast. We learned so much. I actually learned so much today, and that never fucking happens because usually I'm out here judging people.
I want to come and learn from you guys.
Today, I learned
it's good
from
that we
you,
share
Master.
this whole experience because we've all been down that path. That's the great thing, and we can motivate each other to to think about, like, what's the next step? How do we do this? So hopefully when we talk again, we're like, hey, I'm doing a little bit better than last time.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, where can people find you and your work? Do you want to plug anything?
Oh, my handle is Dynamite Dork.
Dynamite Dork
on your Instagram, right?
Yeah,
Instagram.
And, okay, cool.
Great. We have a joint Instagram and TikTok account at Cash Cuties Pod. Please follow us on there for funny clips. I'm also on there at the Fumi Abe, the CHEFUMIABE.
And I'm on Instagram, Baked Goods, BAIKEDGUDS, and send us some money through Patreon.
Patreon.com/CashCutiesPod. We promise you it's a good time. We're going to be posting bonus shit on there. So if you want more of this, you're like, once a week is not enough, please go on there. And we're going to be posting stuff, but also tell us what you want to see. We're all about servicing you. So go to Patreon.com/CashCutiesPod and give us your money, and we'll give you a shout out on the show.
Awesome. Thank
is
you,
that
guys.
It?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week. And until then, spend your money wisely.
Or don't.
Bye.
Bye.